Hello and welcome back to the Angry Healer's Guides to Highmaul. I am, as always, Inquisitor Aura, and today we are looking at the final boss in Highmaul, Imperator Margok, the Sorcerer King, on normal and heroic difficulties. This is a long fight, at least 10 minutes, but probably longer, with 4 phases and 2 intermissions. There is a 15-minute hardened range timer, and while there is no softened rage, Phase 4 is intense, and your raid will not be able to survive it for very long. Throughout this fight, Margok will use the same abilities. They will just do something different during each phase. As such, we will cover each ability 4 times, as most of them will not do the same thing twice. The only ability Margok has that will not change throughout the phases is Accelerated Assault. Now this is the tank swap. It is a stacking buff that Margok will put on himself as he performs consecutive attacks against the same target. Each stack equals 8% attack speed, and like I said, will not change. We will start off with covering all of his abilities in Phase 1. The first of his abilities is Mark of Chaos. Now this is an 8-second debuff that is placed on the tank with aggro, and while it doesn't do anything while it's active, it will explode when it expires, dealing a ton of arcane damage to everyone within 35 yards. Now this is going to require the tank to take the debuff away from the raid. Next is Arcane Wrath, aka The Brand. This is placed on a random raid member. It is a 4-second debuff that deals high arcane damage before jumping to a nearby player. It lasts the full 4 seconds on that jump, but now it deals 25% more damage, and its jump range is reduced by 50%, which will keep stacking until it is allowed to fall off by giving it no place to jump to. Next is Destructive Resonance, aka The Mines. These are placed at locations of random ranged targets. They last for a minute and will despawn harmlessly if they're not touched. But if they're touched, they'll explode for high AoE arcane damage and very high arcane damage to the triggering player, who will also receive a debuff that lasts for a minute and increases arcane damage taken by 45%, and they will be stunned for 1.5 seconds every time they take arcane damage. Force Nova is a wave of arcane energy that sweeps the room, dealing a moderate amount of arcane damage. At the edge of the wave, you will take damage every half a second. And last but not least are the Arcane Aberrations. These guys will spawn one at a time and can be tanked normally. They have one ability called Collapsing Entity, in which they pulse arcane raid-wide damage every second while they're alive. This AoE damage will stay the same throughout the fight. Phase 2 starts when Margok hits 85%, and the overall theme of Phase 2 is Displacement. Phase 2's Mark of Chaos will still place the 8-second debuff on the tank, but it will also teleport that tank to a random location when it is applied. When a player gets Arcane Wrath in this phase, they will see a pinkish, smoky circle surrounding them that goes out to 10 yards. If they attempt to leave it, they will be teleported back to the middle. Phase 2 mines will still last a minute, will still despawn if they're not touched, only now they will double in size over 30 seconds. Force Nova will do the same amount of damage, only now it will push you along with it unless you run through it. And now the Arcane Aberrations will explode when they die and knock back all nearby players. When Margok reaches 55% health, he will go into his first transition phase. He will become unattackable, and he will summon 2 Gorian War Mages and several volatile anomalies. And this transition phase lasts 1 minute. The Gorian War Mages will have 3 abilities that they will use. The first one is Dominance Aura. This will buff all allies within 25 yards, increasing damage done by 50% and attack and cast speed by 50%. Their second ability is Nether Blast. This will fixate on a random ranged raid member and deal high arcane damage to them and anyone within 5 yards, but is interruptible. Their final ability is Slow. It is applied to a random raid member and reduces movement, attack, and casting speed by 50% and is dispellable. The volatile anomalies only have one ability called Destabilize, which means they will explode when they die. At the end of that 1-minute transition, Margok will go into Phase 3. Phase 3's entire theme is Fortification. In this phase, Mark of Chaos will root the tank in place while still applying the debuff, and will force the raid to move 35 yards away. Arcane Wrath's jump range has now been reduced to 25% from 50%. Destructive Resonance now lasts 2 minutes instead of 1. Force Nova is now a series of 3 waves that pulse at 8-second intervals. And the Arcane Aberrations now have 75% more health and are immune to crowd control. When Margok reaches 25% life, he will go into his second transition phase. This phase also lasts 1 minute and has Gorian War Mages and Volatile Anomalies, but now you also have a Gorian Reaver to deal with. The Gorian Reaver has 3 abilities, the first of which is Devastating Shockwave. This is a 20-yard cone attack that does very high physical damage. His second ability is Crush Armor. This is a stacking debuff that is applied to the tank that increases damage taken by 15% per stack and lasts for 25 seconds. And his final ability is called Kick to the Face, which is very high physical damage and resets threat. And after all of that's been taken care of, Margok goes into Phase 4. Phase 4's entire theme is Replication. In this phase, Mark of Chaos will place the debuff and cause 8 orbs of chaos to spawn on the tank. When the debuff expires, the orbs will sail across the room in straight lines, dealing high arcane damage to anyone who touches them. When Arcane Wrath jumps, now it will jump to 2 players instead of just 1. Now, when the mines expire or detonate, it will spawn 2 more next to its previous location. Force Nova will cause all players hit by the wave to explode, dealing the same damage they just took to all players within 4 yards. And when the Arcane Aberrations die, they will split into 7 adds called Arcane Revenants, who have no abilities, including Collapsing Entity. Healers, here's what you need to know about Imperator Margok. There is a crap load of unavoidable damage in this fight. Force Nova's Collapsing Entity damage is stabilized, but there is also completely avoidable damage. Exploding the mines will waste your mana, so make sure to explain to your raid that they need to not blow them up. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. You will be out of mana in Phase 4. It is not an if, it is a when. So asking your raid to kindly use their personal defensive cooldowns, lock rocks, any potions they may have left available is a good idea. The more mana you save early on, the more you'll have for that critical phase. If you have any abilities that give you back mana, such as Mindbender or Power Word Solace for priests, use them and use them often. Also, mana potions in this fight are your friends. You're probably going to want to forego your intellect potions for mana potions. There really are no obvious times for you to use your raid-wide healing cooldown, so you want to kind of just keep your eyes open on the field, on the health bars at all times, and use them at your discretion. Coming out of the transition phases when the tanks are dealing with the adds is going to be crucial. You are going to need to watch their health closely, because once those things start exploding, damage starts getting really ridiculous really fast. And shit is gonna get real in Phase 4, so you do what you have to ensure maximum survivability. That is it for Imperator Margok and Highmaul, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this guide useful. Please feel free to comment below and don't forget to subscribe. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and the Angry Healers blog. Links are listed below. Also, if you would like to see more and better content, please check out my Patreon page. Be sure to check back here because I will be putting up guides to Blackrock Foundry when it drops. As always, keep cool and stay angry, healers.